Before proceeding further, please guys, let me know if you have already registered. So BJ, have you registered yourself?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay. Nitesh, you?
Yeah, I'm able to.
All right. And Rachita Suresh, I hope you guys both have registered, right?
Yeah, yes,
All right.
Samad, I have registered.
All right, great. All right, so let's start then. So you might have already know what we are going to cover here in Palo Alto course. Basically, we are going to cover PC and SC syllabus. Okay, and this is a few major topic I have taken from the course outline, and these things we are going to cover in the entire course. So we will cover introduction to Palo Alto firewall. What is the Palo Alto firewall? We will understand the concept as well. Then we will understand vulnerability protection profile, anti-spyware, anti-security, antivirus security profile, packet filtering, zone protection, virtual system, and we will see the VPN as well. Netting part we will see, decryption, encryption part we will see. We will understand the application ID, network security management, as we will cover Panorama, etc. Panorama and troubleshooting part. So these are the course outline. Now moving to next, which is let's talk about why we should use Palo Alto firewall. So maybe this is already covered in demo, but let me just explain again. So why we should use Palo Alto firewall? So basically Palo Alto is a market leader. That means any enterprise nowadays is using Palo Alto firewall. If we talk about more enterprise level company, so obviously you would see that Palo Alto firewall there. Now, if we talk about Palo Alto firewall, so this Palo Alto firewall supports next generation feature. So if we talk about next generation feature, that means the Palo Alto firewall would be able to inspect the packet from layer 7 to layer 1. So in all layer, it would be able to process the packet, inspect the packet. That means it has the capability to see inside the packet on each layer. Then further, this Palo Alto firewall you can manage using Panorama, or you can manage individually. So unlike if we compare with the other firewall, let's compare with the Checkpoint. So in Checkpoint firewall, if you just want to manage individual firewall, so you can't manage, because there you require a smart server, right? Here in Palo Alto, this is you can manage individual firewall, and you can manage via Panorama itself. It support SP3 model. So this SP3 architecture is one of the major architecture of this Palo Alto firewall, one of the major feature. And due to this feature, the Palo Alto firewall is really very fast. The Palo Alto firewall uses dedicated CPU and dedicated memory for data plane and management plane. That means if you have Palo Alto firewall, basically using management plane, you are accessing the firewall, right? That's a management plane through which you access the firewall. And using data plane, what is the firewall is doing? It's processing the traffic. That means all the filtering tasks, a firewall filtering would be done by data plane. So let's say you have a data plane and you have management plane. So for management plane, the Palo Alto firewall is using dedicated CPU and dedicated memory. That means the CPU which is for the management plane, that would not share with the data plane. Same thing happened with here. A data plane CPU or memory would not share with the management plane. So this making a Palo Alto firewall another redundant device. Okay, let's say if the data plane utilization goes high, still you would be able to see the policy logs, etc. You would be able to do that. Similarly, if there is an issue on the management plane, your data plane would not be affected. So that's the benefit. The another thing, a Palo Alto firewall you can use on the on-premises and you can use on the public cloud vendor. That means you can install this Palo Alto firewall on your on-premises data center, as well as you can install on the cloud as well. And this Palo Alto firewall also supports central log collection. So that means all the device can send the logs to central log server, which is nothing but this is Panorama. So all the device you can integrate with the Panorama, and they can send the logs to this Panorama. So Panorama is the one of the device which would be collecting centralized log and would be storing the central policy through which you can install the policy on each gateway, and you can manage the gateway itself. Okay, now moving to next one, that is Palo Alto architecture. So Palo Alto support this single pass architecture. Okay, but before understanding the single pass, let's understand the multi-pass architecture. So unlike, a Palo Alto firewall is faster than others because other firewall would be supporting these kind of architecture, where what would be happen? Basically, on the firewall, you have a different module. Let's say you have a firewall. So on firewall itself, you have firewall module, you have IPS module, you have antivirus module, you have, let's say, URL filtering module. And now if you are sending the packet from source to destination, what would be happen? Your packet would go to firewall 1. After firewall, it would go to IPS, then AV, antivirus, then URL, and then it would reach to destination. In that case, what happened? When any packet go from source to destination, let's say it would be checked by the firewall policy. In the firewall policy, it would check port and protocol. Same thing, then it would go and check layer 2 and layer 3 address. After that, the packet would go to URL filtering module. Here it would be checking the URL, protocol and port, it again checking, and again this thing is happening. Layer 2 and layer 3 checking again is happening. So this is what happening in the multi-pass. Your packet is going to be pass for same thing in the multiple time. For example, layer 2 and layer 3 checking is happening multiple time over here. Even though port and protocol is checking is happening multiple time here. So that's a multi-pass architecture, which is making the firewall really slow. Okay, if you compare than Palo Alto. In Palo Alto, we have a single pass architecture, which is SP3 model. So let's go and understand SP3 model. So this is SP3 model. And what happened in SP3 model, basically this single pass software is working in this SP3 model. So whenever any packet is hitting to the firewall, so on the packet, your policy engine, your application ID, user ID, content ID, and networking function, all these things going to apply parallelly in a single pass. Okay, so all those things would be checked parallelly. And to support that in a single pass, all those things is going to check. And to support that, you have a hardware as well. Okay, so here you can see these are the data plane function. For data plane function, you have for networking related function who is supporting, your networking hardware is supporting. For security related function, which is content ID, okay, or policy engine who is supporting, your security one is supporting. Okay, sorry, for application related things. And for content related things, who is supporting? Content ID is supporting. So these are nothing but these are the dedicated hardware. And these dedicated hardware are the parallel processing. So you have single pass software, and to support that single pass, you have parallel processing hardware. So this is what the architecture have in the Palo Alto, which is known as a SP3, single pass parallel processing. Okay, please let me know if you have any question. No, so let's move to next.
Hey, Amar.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, what this policy engine will go into the, like, app is fine, it goes to the security, and content is content ID. So these
policy means
policy
port-based thing.
Okay, it goes to the security again, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So let's go to next one. Now I'm just going to show the lab. Before the lab, I just wanted to talk about some model of
Amar,
yeah.
Amar, I wanted to ask you that you told that these all things are inspected, right? So
Mhm.
on which layer does it inspect this?
Yeah, great question. So basically these things happen on the application layer. Most of the infection would happen on the application layer, on the network layer, and transport layer. So it's
Okay.
depend on the inspection types. Let's say
Okay.
you are processing the traffic on the port basis. So port base is
Okay.
what transport layer. Okay.
Okay.
You are processing the traffic on the IP base. So IP base is the network layer.
So whenever a packet comes to Palo Alto, it
Mhm.
inspects it as per like all the parameters are evaluated, right?
Right. All
In
the
one go.
parameters are in one go. Okay. So let's talk about further on the Palo Alto firewall hardware model. So if you see, the Palo Alto firewall has a different hardware as well. So if you want to deploy a Palo Alto firewall, so you can purchase hardware, or you can install this on the virtual machine, or you can install this on the cloud. So from cloud, you can purchase the Palo Alto. That means there you would get the virtual machine, or you can purchase the hardware model that's you want to deploy in your data center, on-premises data center, or you can deploy the virtual machine itself on your on-premises data center, on the VMware, etc. Now, if we discuss here about hardware, so these are the hardware models which we have. Okay, and here let's talk about the different capacity of the hardware. So we have 4060 hardware. This is the one of the 4K series, 2K series, 500 series of the hardware we have. 500 series especially for the Panorama. This is for the Panorama. So let's discuss about them. So 4060 is one of the hardware model. And what actually you would see in the hardware, how would you choose that which hardware you should purchase for your data center? So basically you would be seeing few things. For example, what is the throughput of the firewall? That is a mostly you would consider. Okay. So let's say you have a traffic like in your network around 2 Gbps traffic, let's say you have in your network. So you can go with this one, this firewall. Why? Because with the firewall, it can support up to 10 Gbps. And with the threat prevention, that means this is IPS actually. So with this threat prevention, it can support 5 Gbps throughput. Okay, so your firewall would be able to process 10 Gbps traffic without IPS, and with the IPS, it would be able to process 5 Gbps traffic. So if you just want to enable firewalling capacity, you can go here with the 10 Gbps. And if you just want to have the capacity of the threat prevention as well, which is IPS, so you would get 5 Gbps of the throughput. Then number of session, you can create this much. Okay. And then it has a SFP as well. So it has 4 SFP for 10 gig and 4 SFP for 1 gig. So this is
Amar, for this threat prevention one, is there any specific another extra module in this device which is there?
Yeah, there is a security module itself on the devices. Probably
Okay.
I haven't shown you.
But that is not there in the 10 Gbps one. It's there when we take it a 5 Gbps bandwidth.
Right. Let me just show you that slide. So if you see this one, this is what we have, a dedicated hardware actually for all the function. So if you see there is a data plane and control plane to perform all these things. There is a dedicated hardware, as I told you earlier. So for example, what is the function of who is the functioning over here for these additional things? Threat prevention. So basically for threat prevention, basically your content one, these hardware, because threat prevention is part of your content actually. So your content is working over here. This content based hardware is working right here.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is a dedicated hardware for that.
Okay. And that's on the data plane, right?
That's on the data plane, right?
Okay.
Okay, so now moving to next one. These are the SFP actually. So you know that what is the SFP? That is a hard swappable where you can put 10 gig. If you put 10 gig SFP, you would get 10 gig throughput. If you put 1 gig SFP, you would get 1 gig throughput. So this is the 4060 series, and in same series there are few changes. Okay, I would go to next model, that is a PA2050. In this model, this is going to support 1 Gbps firewalling, and if you enable threat prevention, so it would be supporting 500 Mbps. And number of session you can see here 250,000 session you can create. I mean maximum session can be created on this particular firewall. And 14 copper gigabit, that means 1 Gbps, and 4 SFP interfaces you would get over here. If we talk about next one, which is this 3050 series of the hardware. So if you purchase this hardware, so in this hardware we have a different capacity. Okay, so let's discuss that. Basically in 3050 series of the hardware, we have 4 Gbps firewall throughput with the app ID enabled. Okay, so app ID is one of the new feature in Palo Alto firewall, where it would be able to detect the application. For example, if you are generating the traffic using Zoom, okay, so it would be able to detect that traffic is generated by Zoom application. If you are generating the traffic for browsing, so it would be able to detect that traffic is for Brave browsing. Okay, so that's the app ID feature, which would be able to understand the signature, a traffic pattern, and based on that, it would be able to identify application. So basically, your firewall is providing 4 Gbps packet throughput if you have enabled app ID in all the roles. Then 2 Gbps throughput it would be providing with the threat prevention. That means with the IPS, and 500 Mbps throughput it is providing for the IPsec VPN. So if you are using IPsec VPN, okay, so through IPsec VPN, maximum it can provide 500 Mbps throughput. Maximum session it can create 500,000, and new session per second it can create 50,000, and 20,000 SSL VPN tunnel you can create. Okay, sorry, IPsec VPN, sorry, 2000 IPsec VPN tunnel you can create. So you know the VPN tunnel. What is the VPN tunnel? So basically, if you just want to create IPsec VPN between two firewall, so how many maximum you can create in this one? It can maximum create 2000 IPsec VPN tunnel. That is too much. And 2000 SSL VPN user can be supported. That means the remote user it can support, remote VPN it can support up to 2000 user. That's for the concurrent session. Then virtual router you can create. So virtual router is another feature of the Palo Alto firewall, using which you can segregate the routing table. That means if you have heard about the VRF, okay, in Cisco world, so here in Palo Alto you have a virtual router. If you just want to segregate the routing table for two different subnets or the interfaces, so you can segregate them using virtual router. And in Palo Alto firewall, this is supporting virtual system. Virtual system is nothing but this is a virtual firewall. When I say virtual firewall, that means within the firewall itself, you can do the virtualization and you can run multiple firewall instances. Okay, so that is known as a virtual system. So if you have heard about that context in Cisco, okay, here same we have the VSys, virtual system. So minimum it would be supporting 1 that you would get with the base, and you can increase up to maximum 6 in this model. 40 security zones you can create. So Palo Alto is a zone-based firewall where you can create a security zone. So maximum zone you can create 40, and 5,000 maximum number of policy. That means a rule you can create with this firewall. Okay, moving to next one. This is another series of the firewall. And if you see in this series, this is a series which is used in enterprise data center. That means if you have used data center over there, if you just want to handle the traffic, So you can use 5K series of the firewall. So this is the highest model. And this model is providing 20 Gbps firewall throughput, 10 Gbps with the threat prevention, 4 Gbps with the IPsec VPN, and 20,000 SSL VPN user can connect to this firewall. Okay, 4,000, sorry, whatever this number is. So this much number a session can be connected. And this is the number of VCs you can create, a virtual firewall. 4 SFP you would get for 10 gig, 8 SFP you get here 1 gig, and 12 interfaces you get for the 1 GB. These are the copper interfaces. Right, so this is a 5K series of the hardware. Now moving to next one.
Amar, hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting. Sorry, one thing, like the 10 gig is like we have 4, 5 XFP or SFP we can use, correct? So 10 gig will be like throughput of that device, correct? Like basically you have 4 connections of 10 gig, but still that device can support only 10 gig of data.
Right.
Right. So that is the one thing. But I wanted to understand one more thing. Like 20 Gbps firewall is like, as we have a dedicated hardware, is like firewall or threat prevention. Like in parallel, these can be achieved, or like I don't understand. Like if I enable the threat
Yeah, let me just tell you.
prevention, if I enable the IPsec VPN SSL on the same device, how much will be the like throughput on that case?
Yeah, sure. So maximum it would be 10.1, because basically what is happening, your firewall is processing the traffic parallelly. So let's say there is a traffic which is hitting your firewall, and you have different module. You have IPS module, you have firewall module. So let's say firewall module is having the capability of 20 Gbps over here.
Yeah, let's see this 50, 60 only. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about the 5060 one, right?
Yep.
Gbps. Okay. So this is supporting 20 Gbps, and the IPS is supporting 10 Gbps. What is happening actually, if this is working on the AND condition, if your traffic is going through the firewall, right? And on the traffic, let's say you have enabled the IPS as well. That means the content would be scanned with the IPS as well. So IPS having 10 Gbps, but your firewall would be having 20 Gbps. So if you are using both actually, so you are not getting 30 Gbps actually, you are getting just 10 Gbps, the least one you are getting, because at least IPS is going to create a bottleneck over here. Okay, it can process the traffic up to 10 Gbps. So even though your firewall is really very fast, but each packet need to be scanned by the IPS, and then you would get least speed 10 Gbps.
Could you repeat, Amar, please, once?
Sure. Let's say, as I told you, the packet is. Yeah.
So sorry, Amar, sorry interrupting. Can you add the IPsec VPN as well? That you have taken on the IPS firewall plus add the IPsec if I enable the IPsec as well in the AND statement.
Right.
Yeah.
IPsec would depend on the firewall throughput. Okay. So IPsec is maximum supporting what? IPsec is maximum supporting here throughput. Let's say 4 Gbps. This is IPsec is supporting 4 Gbps. So it is not necessary that each packet should be checked by the IPS. The packet which you would be matching the condition, the VPN condition, that would go with the IPsec, and then it would go via firewall, and then it would go via IPS. But over here, like if we talk about firewall, so whatever happened over here, the packet is going to the firewall over here. And firewall itself, there is a firewall policy where IPS is enabled. So packet is going to evaluate parallelly in the IPS as well. So if IPS would deny any traffic, IPS has capability how much? IPS has a capability as to 10 Gbps. So it would be minimum, the firewall would be making sync with the IPS, and it would be sending the packet with this IPS speed, not through the firewall speed. If you disable this module where packet do not need to check IPS, okay, on that cases firewall is going to support full GBPS, I mean full overload here. But if you are using IPS, that means some of the packet need to be evaluated with the IPS. So you would getting speed, maximum speed you are getting with the IPS 10 Gbps, because each packet need to be evaluated by IPS, and IPS is maximum supporting up to 10 Gbps, not more than that.
Okay, so you mean to say that in this model of Palo Alto 5060, we have a firewall as well as inbuilt IPS protection as well if we
Right.
use the 10 Gbps threat protection.
Right. This right.
Okay.
So whatever the firewall we are seeing nowadays, if that is next generation firewall. So next generation firewall is not only the firewall; it would be processing more than that. This is also working as an antivirus, right? This is also
Right.
working as a IPS. This is also working
Right.
as a URL filtering. So that's the next generation firewall. But
this-
IPS is a complete. I mean, your firewall is totally dependent on the IPS. If the content need to be inspected, so definitely firewall need to wait for the IPS response. So IPS is responding with the 10 Gbps speed. So ultimately firewall throughput you would get 10 Gbps, not 20 Gbps.
But Amar, though it is an added security via IPS, but
Yeah.
there is a disadvantage that the bandwidth or the throughput is less.
Obviously, if you are enabling
So-
security feature, yeah, definitely there is a disadvantage. But yeah, if you are enabling the security feature, so you have to compromise with the something.
Okay. So we have anything else, means any advancement or anything else about that, means on that bandwidth is actually a disadvantage over there.
Bandwidth is a
And-
disadvantage, but security is an advantage.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have not got anything as of now for that, right?
Right.
In
Now let's go to next and let's talk about some feature. So even though let's say your firewall is supporting a lot of feature, let's say you purchase 50, 60 series of the firewall, which is high-end model you have purchased. Okay. So let's say you have purchased this one, but its feature would only work if you would enable the license. Okay. So licensing is another thing. If you enable the license, then those feature is working. If you don't enable the license, those feature would not work. Okay, so license is dependency. Then these high-end model, whatever you are using high-end model, they would be providing hot swappable fan and power supply. That means if there is any issue on the fan or the power supply, so you just remove them. You don't need to turn off the firewall and remove them, put another fan and another power supply. These high-end model have a dual solid state hard drive. That means there are two hard drive. Okay, for the redundancy purpose. If one hard drive gets filled, another hard drive would take care of that. Operating system, etc., which would be loaded over there. And these hardware have a dedicated HA interface. Okay, what is the HA interface? That's used for the high availability. If you want to configure a firewall into high availability, that is basically cluster. So you have to use HA interface, and on the high-end model, you would see the HA interface would be dedicated. Okay, HA1, HA2, those would be dedicated interfaces. Also, the high-end model would take 2U standard rack mount, 2U space on the rack. So this is about the high-end model. Now let's talk about subscription, which is nothing but license. So what are the license available here, and what is the meaning of licenses? This is 2K series. Let's go talk about licenses. So basically on Palo Alto, you would see that you can purchase different licenses. A firewall licenses you get by default. However, you can enable the licenses. Okay, you would get more licenses like threat prevention. You would get licenses like URL filtering, global protect, and wildfire. So let's talk about these subscription. This is nothing but this is licenses that you can enable. So when you enable threat prevention license, that means you are enabling IPS capability. When you are enabling URL filtering license, that means you are enabling URL filtering. That means now you can use your firewall as a URL filter. When you enable global protect, this is nothing, this is a VPN license. Which kind of VPN? This is SSL VPN license. And this is a wildfire, this is a sandboxing license. Wildfire is a cloud-based sandboxing of the Palo Alto firewall. Okay, we'll discuss about that. So these are the licenses that you can purchase. Okay, let me just talk about wildfire in a detail. Why sandboxing is required? Do you know, guys, what is sandboxing?
Yes. Basically, there is a server on the cloud, and the for any website or something which is a threat, probably it is sent to the cloud server for inspection, and that is sent to other means outside firewall as well.
Yeah,
that cloud
it can send to the yeah, right, it can send to the on premises and it can send to the cloud as well, those things. But why need to send? Can that not be inspected by IPS? Why need to send on the cloud, on the sandbox, any particular traffic?
Is that the sandboxes from the Palo Alto, like which does all the latest threats and all those stuff? I don't know. This is my guess.
Yeah, right. Its guess is right. You are going on right direction, but let me explain. Okay, so sandboxing is one of the feature which would be used to prevent a zero-day attack. Actually, this is especially made for the preventing zero-day attack. So you might have about zero-day attack. What happened in zero-day attack? These attacks are the attacks which is newly discovered and nobody knows about those attacks. So you can take example of WannaCry attack, if you might heard about that. This was a zero-day attack. Okay, so let's discuss in this way. Let's say this is your Palo Alto firewall. This is a firewall. And over here you have enabled the IPS as well. And this is further connected over the internet. And now on the back end, you have Q server. Let's say this is a web server is running on the back end. Web server. And there are user as well who is connected. They are trying to download few things from the internet. Okay. So, you know, your firewall and the IPS or antivirus, basically these are the signature based technology. They are working on based on the signature. Okay. So if you do not update the signature, you won't get any latest protection. And that's why time to time we do update the signature. What happened? These signature is updated by the vendor itself. And when the vendor is updating these signature, on that time, he know that what kind of attack it is. Let's take example of any vulnerability. You can take the vulnerability of Log4j. This is the one vulnerability which is nowadays is very famous. Okay, Log4j vulnerability. So for Log4j vulnerability, what they do, they are researcher, their security team do research, and they, according to their research, they release the signature. A signature is nothing but they release a pattern through which your firewall or IPS or antivirus would be able to detect if there is any attack is happening by using this vulnerability. So it would be able to detect. But let's say the vulnerability which is or attack which is generated by the attacker, okay, for that, there is a no signature. That means that is a really completely new vulnerability, and vendor do not have released that so far. On that cases, what is the useful? Your sandboxing. So let's say you have a sandboxing environment. Let's say this is a wildfire.
Amar, can you repeat what you just said about that attack, please?
So attack is, attack is just really new, okay, which is not known for any vendor so far. So that's a 0-day attack. So if there is any traffic which is coming and that traffic is not known, a firewall does not know about that traffic. So basically, before allowing that traffic, it sends that traffic to sandbox.
Okay.
So sandbox is nothing, but this is a kind of environment where you would see the machine which is running different version, different databases, different operating system flavor over here. And when that file or that kind of traffic would go to sandbox, this sandbox extract that file in a different operating system, different flavor of the databases, etc. And it would look the behavior of that particular file immediately. It is going to look the behavior of that particular file or payload, and based on that, this is going to decide whether that is a malicious or not. If it is, this payload is doing any malicious activity or file is doing any malicious activity. For example, let's say the file which it is downloaded over here, it's trying to extract itself and trying to replicate on all the tribe and trying to encrypt the tribes. Okay, so immediately sandbox would be able to know that this file is malicious and would inform to the firewall that this file is malicious. Okay, please note the hash value of this file. If the next time that file is coming, please drop it. So that's what the sandbox does basically. So wildfire is nothing, but if this is a sandbox from the Palo Alto firewall. Okay, so if there is any file which is unknown, the firewall does send that file to the wildfire. That's a cloud-based technology. And then wildfire is going to evaluate in their environment. And then it is going to tell the firewall whether that file need to be allowed or not. Okay, so based on the rule, your file is going to be allowed or dropped. And then, traffic is going to allow or drop. So this is what a sandbox, a wildfire.
So is there any separate module for it, or it's just the firewall in which we put the just license for wildfire?
This is cloud-based. You just put the license and then your firewall would be start sending those traffic towards the cloud. Palo Alto cloud. But some of the Palo Alto also do offer wildfire for the on-premises. So they also have the hardware that you can purchase for the on-premises. So if you want to deploy on-premises wildfire, so you just purchase the hardware and you can deploy on the on-premises as well. Usually, organizations do prefer cloud-based, not this organization-based.
Okay.
So
is there any means the features are the same whether it's a cloud-based or it's the on-premises based?
Cloud-based is a more advanced, and you don't not need to maintain it. Basically, Palo Alto taking care of those things.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, so these are the security subscription. But before security subscription, let's discuss about the centralized management device. So centralized management device is what Palo Alto offer Panorama. This is nothing but this is a centralized management device. And if we talk about this centralized management device, what it does basically, with this centralized management device, you can integrate multiple gateway for management purpose or for the logging purpose. Okay, so for example, let's say you have a different firewall in a different location. Okay, let's see. You have multiple gateway on different location. So you have one gateway over here, you have one gateway over here, and one gateway over here. So now you have 3 gateway on different location. Let's say this is in US, this is in India, and this is in UK. So you have 3 gateway in 3 data center. Now what you want, basically you just want to block some IP. So you came to know that there is a IP, let's say 125.0.1.7. Let's say your security team advised that this is a malicious IP, please block it on each firewall. So what you need to do, you need to log in on each gateway, and then you need to create a rule for blacklisting this IP, right? So if you just want to avoid it, instead of logging on each gateway, what you can do, you can use the Panorama device. You can integrate all these firewalls with this Panorama. And now you don't need to log in on each gateway. Where you need to log in? You need to log in on Panorama. And through this Panorama, you can access your US firewall, India firewall, or UK firewall. So let's see that you access US firewall, you created a blacklist rule from any to this particular IP, any packet drop. Then same rule you can copy on India firewall. Same rule you can copy on UK firewall using this Panorama. So this is really very helpful in the management purpose, as well as if you just want to see the hits for this particular IP, that which particular IP is hitting this malicious IP. So you don't need to log in on each firewall. You just log in on the Panorama, search for the log for this IP, and you would be able to see hits for this IP. So if there is any reverse shell is created, I mean, let's say if there is any infected system in the data center, so you're in Panorama itself, you can see the logs for this particular destination. So Panorama is really very cool device using which you can centrally access the firewall and you can manage all those firewalls. So this Panorama, you can purchase the hardware model, either M100 or M500. You can purchase the hardware, or you can deploy this Panorama on the virtual appliance, or you can deploy this Panorama device on the cloud itself. So you have all options that you can choose. Okay, so now moving to next one, I'm just going to show our lab, and I'm just going to show some feature of the firewall. Let me just try to install the firewall over here. So let's go to lab and let's talk about the basic setups. So let me just go do basic setups over here. So this is my workstation, right? Through this workstation, I would try to access my firewall management. Okay. And through this management, I would try to configure my firewall for first time configuration. So let's say you got initially firewall, you got an initial firewall, and you need to require to configure this firewall. So first of all, what you would configure? You would try to configure management IP. That you would do in your initial configuration, device name, etc., time, etc. You would be configuring this login banner, etc. All these things you want to configure. So if you just want to configure, you have to access that firewall first. So first time you can access the firewall. Let's say you have the hardware firewall. So on the hardware firewall, they have the predefined IP. So predefined IP, they are using 192.168.1.1. This is predefined IP they are using. If they are using different IP, so you would see on the firewall itself that what is the predefined different IP. So either you can direct connect back-to-back cable with the management interface to your laptop, okay? Or you can just connect a console cable, okay? So let's say on the firewall, you have a console port, so you can connect console cable. And through console cable, you can connect your laptop, you can open the putty, and using the console port, you can access it. When you access it, you would get the console like this. Let me show you the console. So what the console you would get? This kind of console you will get. This is your Palo Alto console. And this is the console you would get. And in this console, you can log in. So for login, you can use the username admin and default password is a admin. This is the first time. Put old password and put new password. I'm putting new password as a test@123. Test@123. Now I have logged in. This is my Palo Alto firewall console, and I can configure it if I just want to do that. For basic configuration, we need to do system level configuration. And for system level configuration, we have to go configure mode here in the Palo Alto. What I just want to configure, I just want to configure management IP. So to configure the management IP, we have to do a system configuration. So you would run the command set device config system. And by default, management would get DS IP from DSCP. So if you just want to change from dynamic to static, so you can run type static, and then you can define IP. So to define the IP, again, you need to run the command set device config system, and then IP-address, and you can assign the IP address. So I'm taking 10.0.0.1. and net mask, which is subnet mask, I'm taking 255.255.255.0. And now I would commit the changes. Commit the changes, that means I'm pushing the changes into the firewall. This is just equal to save config command in Cisco.
Amar, this system, the moment you took the system as a keyword, it will go to the management interface.
This would, yeah, the system, if you take system 1, so this would go to management. If you take network, so that would go to network 1. So I just want to just verify over here. Let me just exit, show interface management. So you would see that is the IP right here. So this is the IP of your management interface. That management interface I can access from here itself, right, from this workstation. So let me just try to access, but the condition is my management IP and my this workstation IP should be part of same subnet. So on this management, I have assigned 10.0.0.1/24. So over here on the workstation, I have to assign same subnet IP. So on any interface, I would assign 10.0.0.10/24. So they would be from same subnet, and then I can access this Palo Alto firewall. So let me just try to assign it. Assign the IP to this Palo Alto firewall. Sorry, to access this Palo Alto firewall, I need to assign the IP to this workstation. So let's go to workstation by clicking on it. And it's connecting now. Let me assign the IP to any one of the interface. The IP is already assigned for this one. So let me try to check whether we have connectivity to the Palo Alto one. So go to command prompt. You can ping it 10.0.0.1. By default, by default, Palo Alto do allow ping management interface. This is by default allowing. You can ping the management interface, but you cannot ping other interface because that is by default denied. So management is by default, you can ping it. So I'm able to ping it. That means connectivity is okay. So I can access Palo Alto using GUI. So Palo Alto do recommend that most of the configuration you can perform using GUI. So they recommend you to most of the time, if you just want to do any configuration, do via GUI. Okay, not by CLI. So 80 to 90% configuration you can do on the Palo Alto with GUI itself. So let's log in on the Palo Alto firewall. HTTPS // then IP address of your management IP. Okay, I'm able to access, but the connection is not secure. Don't worry. We will make it secure later. Let's log in. Admin password is now changed. Test 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now this is the basic information you would see. Palo Alto UI is really user friendly. When I say user friendly, that means it's really well arranged. And I mean, if you forget about particular options, so at least you would go and browse on the console and you would see that from where you can assign the IP, from where you can create the policy, from where you can check the logs, etc. So all these things it is showing you. So this is the dashboard. Using this, you can see the basic information, some advanced information, some logs, etc. You can see how it is going to show the information in arranged in the widget forms. So you would see that these are the default widgets you are getting. If you just want to remove or add any widgets, so by clicking on this cross button, you can remove the widget, and by clicking on this widget option, you can add the widgets. For example, I'm just going to show you some more widgets. And if you see here, we have few information, but I'm just going to add one more widgets. For example, let's go on the widgets and click on the application. If you just want to see top application, we can add it. If you just want to see the interfaces details, we can click on this interface option and it would be showing the interface as well. So we have overall 8 interfaces in this Palo Alto firewall, and all the interfaces currently disabled, not enabled. If you just want to see the interface, I mean logs relating threats URL, so we can see that. But these are the options. Using the widgets, you can add more widgets if you just want, or remove them. I'm just going to show you that what are the general information you would get with this using general widgets. So general information that you are getting, just a moment. So general information, you are getting a device name. So this is your device name. If someone asks you what is the, in which device you have logged in, you can give in the name. And then IP address, management subnet mask, IP version 6, link local address, MAC address of your management interface, model. Model is really important. This is the hardware model that basically it is showing over here. So basically we are not using any hardware. If I would have used any hardware in this lab, then it would showing me the hardware. Okay. If I'm using this as a virtual machine, that's why this is showing as a PAVM. And then this serial number. This is again very important thing. Without serial number, you cannot integrate your firewall into the Panorama. Okay. So this is really important. And the serial number you would get if you activate your firewall. So once you activate, you would get this serial number. Okay, this is really important. And then the CPU ID, this is management CPU ID. This is showing you. Then the unique ID, the license, this is showing that right now there is no license installed. The VM mode, this VM is running on the KVM. This is nothing but this is a hypervisor basically. Hypervisor. Basically, this firewall is running on the Linux based machine. So that's why this is showing as a KVM. And the PAN OS version. This is going to show you that which operating system is installed, which version of the PAN OS is installed. So it is installed 9.0.4. So this information you are able to see here. Apart from that, if I scroll down, I would be able to see more information as well. For example, if you just want to see the management plane and data plane CPU utilization, so you can see it further. Okay, so here you can see the CPU resources utilization. In the Palo Alto command, right now you're just able to see the management CPU and data CPU, but you are not able to see any kind of memory. So memory you can see using command prompt. If you run the command show system resources on the command on the Palo Alto, so you would be able to see memory, etc. Here it is showing the session. Right now, no traffic is going through this. So that's what the system, this is showing as a 0. But if there is any traffic going, so it can be showing you session. Maximum session it can support 1248, this particular VM. Now, let's do some basic configuration. Okay. So let's go to device, and I'm just going to do some basic configuration on device. If we just want to set up a device related things, so we have to go to this device tab, and we can do some basic configuration. For example, if you see the related to management settings, you can do the some settings, and in the this is the general setting that we can do. Host name, etc. we can define. So if you click here, you can define the host name. So I'm just defining the host name PA01 to this one. Domain, netminion .net. Login banner you can define. Authorized use only. And further you can go and you can define the time zone. So for example, I just want to define India time. So I have to select here just as Kolkata. So this is I can define, and the time and date I can define if I just wanted to do. And after that, you just click on OK. And these setting would not be effective until you push the changes. To push the changes, this is the commit option. So you can click on the commit. And before committing any changes, if you just want to validate the configuration, so you can click on this validate commit and just validate the configuration, that the configuration you have done, whether that is valid or invalid. So if there is any issue on the configuration, through this is going to be identified. So validation is complete and result is successful. So we are sure, so we can commit the changes. For what purpose you are committing the changes? So if you have change number, service request number, or any incident number, so you can mention over here. Else, this is just admin notes. You can just ignore this and you can just go on the commit. So when you commit over here, so you can see this operation is progress. This operation you can close itself. Okay, and this operation would be running on the back end. How you would know? If you click on this task option, so you would be able to see running task, whether the task is running or whether it has been completed. So I just press commit and this task has been completed, but you should not believe on this one. Actually, you have to click on this commit hyperlink, and then you can check whether this is really successful or not. So if you see this message, that means this is successful. Sometimes you would see the successful over here or completed over here, but that's not mean that is successful. The successful you would only able to see when you click on this link. So this is the result is successful. This is finally completed. Okay, so now I can verify the host name by going on this dashboard. And if you see here, the host name has been changed. Same thing if you just want to configure interfaces. So let's say I just want to configure interfaces, Ethernet 0/1 and Ethernet 0/2. So if you just want to configure your interfaces, you can configure this. So I would make this 0/1. This would be part of my trust zone. And this 0/2 would be part of my untrust zone. For trust zone, I'm using this subnet 192.168.2.0/24. So over here, in this interface, I would assign the IP address, the first IP from this subnet. So what is the first IP from this subnet? 192.168.2.1/24. And on this untrust, I would using this subnet 100.0.0.0/24. So I would assigning first IP to this untrust one. That means 100.0.0.1/24. So let's assign the IP according to this one. Let's configure Ethernet 1/1 and 1/2. Basically, to configure these interfaces, we have to define interface type, and IP address only you can define on the interface if you configuring these interface as a layer 3. Then you would be able to configure IP address, else not. That means if you just want to make sure that this Palo Alto can do the layer 3 function, so you have to enable interface as a layer 3. So let's configure those interface as a layer 3. We will talk about later that what are the other mode we have on the interfaces. But for now, if you just want to assign IP, so you can configure interface as a layer 3. So let's go here on your terminal, and over here you can configure the interfaces. So here you can see the interfaces status, but from here you cannot configure. From network you can configure the interfaces using this network tab. So you need to go on the network tab, and then you need to go on the interfaces. Okay, you can create a zone right now, or you can create a zone while creating the interfaces, while assigning the interfaces. So let's go to Ethernet 1/1, and let's assign the type. This interface type should be layer 3. If you just want to give any comment, you can give the comment. Okay, I'm just not giving any comment, but in actual production environment, you would be giving the meaningful comment. And over here, you can define this interface as a part of a particular virtual router. So by default, there is a default virtual router. You can make this interface as a part of default virtual router. And then you can configure the security zone. So security zone I don't have. I can create a new security zone, and I would give some name to this security zone. That is, trust is the standard term of the Palo Alto firewall. You can give any name if you want. So I'm just giving trust. That means this is internal. This is a layer 3 types of zone. Okay, and I don't need to be assigned any interface. By default, this is take this interface as a into this zone, Ethernet 1/1. And now I can assign the IP address. So if you click on this IP address, either you can use the object, or you can direct assign the IP address, which I am doing right now, 192.168.2.1/24. I'm directly assigning this IP address and click on OK. Now IP address is assigned, but this interface is still off. Okay, so it would only get up once you commit. So let's go to Ethernet 1/2, and let's assign IP address over here. So for that, I need to configure this as a layer 3. Need to assign to the particular virtual router. So this would be part of default virtual router, and security zone I would create a new, and that would be untrust. So untrust, we are considering that as an external. Okay, let's click on OK. And finally, you can go to IP version 4. Here you can click on add, and you can assign the IP address to this interface /24. That's it, and click on OK. So now we have assigned the IP to the interfaces. Meanwhile, if you just want to allow any traffic, so let's say I just want to allow the traffic from trust to untrust. So by default, you are seeing two zones, two rules. These are the default rules. I need to create one more rule. Before creating a rule, let's talk about these default rule. So by default, Palo Alto is saying that if you just want to send the traffic within the same zone, so let's say you have a zone with trust to trust, you are sending the traffic. So by default, traffic is allowed. If you try to send a traffic within different zone, that means inter zone, so traffic would be blocked. So that means if you try to send from trust to untrust, so your traffic would be blocked by this rule. Okay, how it is showing you? Let's go here and let me show you. Right, so this is showing as allowed, this is showing as a deny. So by default, if your traffic is going between different zones, so it's blocked, and within the same zone, it's allowed. So now your traffic is allowed. I mean blocked. So let me just add a policy. Click on add, give the policy name. For example, I'm giving the policy name. Let's allow underscore trust to untrust. Source you can define over here. You have the freedom to define source zone. This is necessary. If you don't assign any zone, by default, your Palo Alto will drop the traffic. And you can assign a IP address here. So by default, it is taking any IP address. So I would say that from trust to any IP address, trying to go to untrust zone, that traffic should be allowed. And what kind of traffic I'm just allowing? Not any traffic, but I'm just allowing ping traffic. Just ping traffic. Service, this is the port number actually. So port number I'm not giving, I'm giving the application default. So whatever the application is using, use that port number and click on this action and allow it. Click on OK. Now your traffic is being allowed. If you commit this, so on the Palo Alto firewall, we have done the interface level settings. Okay, so now my traffic is allowed. If I try to generate any test traffic, so from this workstation to this router, I can generate the traffic, but on the router, I don't have any configuration right now. So let's go on this router and let's assign some IP. So I am on this router, and for this interface, I would assign IP 100.0.0.10, and the default gateway for this router would be my firewall, which would be 100.0.0.1. On this workstation, in another interface, which is Ethernet 1, which is, I would say that this I can use as an internal. So on this interface, I'm just going to assign another IP 168.2.10, and default gateway for this workstation would be 192.168.1.1. Sorry, 2.1. From here, I would generate the traffic to this router. So how my traffic would be going? Traffic would be going to switch. It is hitting to Ethernet 1/1 interface. Then it is going on the Palo Alto firewall. Palo Alto firewall would check the policy. If the traffic is allowed, so it would look the destination 100.0.0.10, which it would be learning from Ethernet 1/2. So traffic would be going through this interface to this destination, and the reply would be coming back via firewall to this workstation. So this is how the traffic would go if I try to generate the traffic after assigning these IP addresses. So let's do, and let's assign the IP and try to generate the traffic. So let's go here. Sorry, on workstation. Okay, I was in workstation. Let's try to assign the IP to this workstation first. So this is another interface. Let's see whether his IP is already assigned. IP is already assigned to this workstation. That means no issue. And now let's go back to this router and assign the IP to this Ethernet 0/0 interface. So this is router. I would say no. Enable host name. Let's say this is external router, and then interface is 0/0 IP address 0.0.0.1, so 10, 255.255.255.0 is the subnet mask, no shut. And then default routing, I'm just going to enable for default gateway. So IP route 0.0.0.0, 0.0.0.0, and 100.0.0.1. UWR. And now try to generate traffic from this workstation to this route. So if my traffic is passing through the firewall, it should be able to reach. So let's go to workstation, try to generate traffic using command prompt. Since we have just allowed what ping, so ping should be passing through the firewall. 100.0.0.10. Now you can see your traffic is going. How you would verify that traffic is going through the firewall? You can see the sessions by going on the monitor option and just browse the session over here. This is the session browser. And right now you can see this session. This is showing traffic is now allowed. So this is the session ID. And here you can see the flow. There are two types of flow you would see. One is the client based and other is the server based. So this is source to destination. The client to server is what? Source to destination. So source is my trust zone. Source IP is 2.10. Destination IP is, no, this is wrong one. This is wrong one. This is the broadcast. Actually, this is allowing, which is wrong. Actually, I have to see the traffic related to existing one. So
yeah, it says hitting the intra-zone rule as well, correct? Default, not the R.
Right. Let me just keep it continue and try to check here. Okay, I think this is fine. 2.10 as a source, destination is this, and this is hitting this rule. So let's see this. You can see the session ID right here, which is processed by which virtual system? The virtual system is virtual system 1, that is a default one. Traffic application is a ping, protocol is 1, that is ICMP actually. And this is the rule which is allowing the traffic. QS is not applied. Okay, so by default, this is taking QS class 4. We'll talk about that later. Else you can see this one is the host of the session. No, false. Session end logs is we have enabled that log should be generated when the session end. And then you can see the flow basically. So you would see the source to destination. Source is this, destination is this, zone is this. Okay. And traffic is what? Traffic is flow kind of traffic. And then you can see the traffic, return traffic from here, destination to source. So basically this is a reply. Since this firewall is a stateful firewall, so you just need to create a unidirectional rule, not a bidirectional. The reply would be already allowed. So this is what the logs is saying. So in Palo Alto, you can do the configuration in this way. You can define the things. What if you not configure zone? Let's say on the policy, you haven't configured any zone. Let's say you have removed the zone from here. Not policy, but on the interfaces. Go to network and go to interface, a particular interface. Let's say this is my interface, source interface. And let's remove the zone from here. So instead of defining the zone, say none and commit it. Would the traffic allowed if you don't configure any zone? Let's see whether the traffic would be allowed or not. You haven't configured any zone on the interface. If you go here and try to ping now, ping -100.0.0.10, -t. No, traffic is not allowed. Reason could be, reason is this traffic flow. So if you remember this diagram that I have shown you while demo. So here source is missing, source zone is missing. And just because of source zone is missing, your traffic is dropping at this level. Right? So for today, I'm just stopping here. If you have any question, please let me know. And next week, we are going to understand this flow logic. We will understand that how the firewall is processing the traffic. Okay, so all those things we understand next week. Okay, so let me know if you have any question. Yeah, please go ahead.
Amar, I have one question. Can you go back to the session, the Palo Alto session again?
Sure.
The firewall, yeah. It
I
will
think
be very
that
quick.
session has gone now.
Oh yeah, no worries, no worries. So, oh, okay, okay. So there is. Can you go to the monitor as well? Yeah, monitor. And the first. Okay. So in the log, can you click the traffic as well on the top? The second, yeah, the traffic one.
Here you won't see any traffic. Reason is if your firewall is not activated, here you won't be able to see any logs.
What is the point? If your firewall is not
activated. So
Okay,
until the firewall is activated, you won't be able to see the logs.
Activated in the sense like the license or something.
Right, license. License is the factor. This firewall is not activated. That's why we are not able to see any logs over here.
Which license we need to activate? Sorry, I'm missing. Just wanted.
Firewall license, base license itself, you need to activate.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I got it. The first one which we talked about, firewall. Yeah. Okay. So basically, okay, there is a two. Just wanted to check if it is activated. What is the difference in this traffic flow log and session traffic log?
Session you would see live. This is the live log actually. Live session you will see. And here you would be able to see historical.
Okay,
historical. So if you just want to see 1 hour before logs, so at least you would be able to see here.
But
and here you just able to see live
so
log.
basically, okay, basically whenever we have a go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Rachita.
No issues. You can continue, please. Probably I'll ask.
No worries. Okay, quick. It will be quick. Sorry. So normally, what I used to do, like I used to go to the track and used to see this. But we have an option to see the session browser. If somebody is doing live troubleshooting, I can go and it looks like very user friendly.
This would be only good. This would yeah. Let me just tell you. The session browser would be showing you accepted connection, not the blocked connection.
Oh, okay.
So accepted connection, this is going to show you. Blocked or accepted, you would see using this traffic option.
Okay, that makes sense. So this session browser will not help me if it is blocked. Right. I need to go to the traffic one only. Okay, thanks. Thank you, Amar. Thank you. Rachita, you go.
Yeah, Amar, I was asking that just before which you showed us the last scenario where you had created an untrust and a trust zone, right? Where we were routing via the router. So in that case, where did we see the logs? We were just seeing the logs, right? That was another network traffic part.
Yeah,
right?
you can see the logs here itself. Your firewall is, if firewall is activated, you can see here those logs using this traffic option.
So we were just seeing, and before this we were seeing, so it's a different firewall or what it is, because
no, this was
just
the same firewall. This was same firewall.
But how were we able to see it then?
here you were able to see that those session logs which it was creating. The created
Okay,
session you were
that
seeing
very
over here.
moment, that very
Yeah,
moment when
that's
we
very moment. That means the session, the traffic which is accepted, that you are able to see.
okay,
For example, you can see that I am pinging right now, but session is not created. Okay, your
yeah,
firewall
right,
is
right,
discarding the traffic, so you are not
okay,
able to see here.
okay,
But if your firewall would have activated, so all those things you would see here.
okay, 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 got it, got it.
Okay. Any other question before closing
And
this?
one thing more, as it's actually a firewall device. So when we were just seeing that logs, we saw that the source and the destination were the same. Will they not change in between because we were going from a trust to an untrust zone kind of thing, or we'll define then it will perform that thing?
In the session, you would be able to see anything which is accepting over here. So even that is accepting by intrazone or interzone, you would be able to see here.
No, I was saying that what we were suppose we were pinging the router ID, right? Dot 10, 100 dot.
Right, router IP, correct?
Yeah. So that was the destination, and the source was the internal trust zone IP, right?
Mhm.
From where we were the machine, which were from where we were pinging.
Right.
So when we were pinging and we saw the session, the source and the destination were the same in the client to server side and server to client side as well.
Yeah.
So will they not change
Mhm.
in between because they have hops, or it will show the endpoints only? That's my question.
Yeah, actually, which the traffic which we were saying earlier, that was a broadcast traffic. Okay, so that was broadcast was all. I mean, you know that your system is
Right,
also
right.
doing the
No,
broadcast.
I'm not talking about the broadcast one. The second one, which we saw the logs for the client to server, and in which we had the appropriate IPs.
Right.
Saying that
So those IP would change
as in between.
if we are intercepting over here anything. If we are doing a net, so those may change. Okay.
Okay, got
So
it, got it.
those may change if in case of we are
So that will
intercepting
be
the traffic.
covering, right?
Yeah, that would be covering. Yeah.
Okay, okay, got it.
All right. Any further question before closing this?
No, Amar, that's it. Nothing from my side.
All right.
Yeah, good session, Amar. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for appreciation. Thank you. Thanks,
So
bye.
Amar, will we be
Yeah,
able to
yeah.
access this lab? How will that be possible?
You can connect with Joya. She would be
Okay,
giving all the information how to connect the lab, and she would
okay,
The lab
you
which
would-
you are showing, I need to create that one as well. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
thank
you.
you.